Welcome everybody to Stuff That We Like / Enjoy, at least at this point in time. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Christina.
We're the Castanettas.
And today I'm going to ask Caleb, what is something that you like / enjoy, at least at this point in time?
All right. So I've named this topic.
Serious. All right.
Yep. Actually, I don't have an intro or a question for this topic.
Okay.
I'm just going to go for it. Today I wanted to talk about an amazing man, someone who's overcome time and time again, and today is an inspiration to many people around the nation. His name is David Goggins.
All right. The good old David Goggins.
The good old David Goggy. So an introduction to who
the
this...
DG.
The DG. The dang Goggins. David Goggins, a short introduction to who he is a retired Navy SEAL, ultra endurance athlete. He's a motivational speaker, also a best-selling author known for his extreme mental toughness and relentless pursuit of pushing human limits. He overcame a traumatic childhood marked by poverty, abuse, and obesity, transforming himself into one of the toughest men alive. Goggins has completed over 60 ultra marathons, triathlons, and ultra distance races, often placing at the top despite severe injuries and grueling conditions. He's the author of Can't Hurt Me and Never Finish, where he details his philosophy of mastering the mind through suffering and embracing discomfort. His raw, no-nonsense approach to motivation has inspired millions to stay hard. That's his thing he says. And crush their excuses. What do you think of that?
First of all, I think it's insane that he's run over 60 ultra marathons, triathlons, and some of those are like 200 miles.
Oh, yeah.
Like pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm still recovering from the marathon we ran 7 months ago. And so,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's doing a
broke us.
couple a year at this point, at least.
Yeah.
So I think that's crazy. I think it's cool for somebody who has become such an inspiration to many in the areas of overcoming difficult childhoods or upbringings, especially in the realm of struggling with being obese to now going out and running 100 miles is kind of wild.
It's really impressive.
Yeah.
Everything but his catchphrase is my favorite.
Yes, there we go.
So the history of this topic, David Goggins, a little bit more about him. David was born on February 17th, 1975 in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, it's one of my best friend's birthdays.
Really?
Yeah, Libby.
Who? Really?
Yep.
Was she born in 1975 too?
No.
Oh.
She was born in 94. So close. Almost 20 years later.
So close. He was born in Buffalo, New York, and had traumatic and difficult childhood. He grew up in an abusive household where his father, Trunis Goggins, subjected him, his brother, and his mother to constant violence and cruelty. As a child, David worked long hours at his father's roller rink, leaving little time for school or personal growth. His mother eventually escaped with David, but the damage from years of abuse left emotional scars. In his teenage years, Goggins struggled with obesity, self-doubt, and learning disabilities, which led to a period of hopelessness and depression. By his early 20s, he weighed nearly 300 pounds and was working as a pest control technician. He was feeling stuck and unfulfilled, like anybody would,
Right.
in that condition.
Yeah, being that overweight and then your job is just to kill bugs and rodents.
Oh,
just
man.
not, I mean, it's needed. Obviously, it's an important job, but just all those combo factors.
He tells a story in the book, Can't Hurt Me, of the breaking moment when he was doing a pest control, like his final pest control job. He went into I think it was a Shake Shack or some kind of restaurant, and there were just so many cockroaches and disgusting bugs. Like, I think they fell on him at some point.
Probably on the rafters or
I think
ceiling,
so.
Yeah.
And he left his equipment there and left. Like, that was it. He's just done.
He's like, hey, I'm quitting the job, but here's the stuff to finish it if you want.
So one day, inspired by a Discovery Channel documentary on Navy SEALs, Goggins decided to take control of his life and pursue something extraordinary. Determined to become a Navy SEAL, Goggins shed over 100 pounds in just 3 months through intense self-discipline, grueling workouts, and extreme dieting.
Wow.
Despite failing multiple times, he eventually passed the SEAL training or BUDS training on his third attempt, enduring the famous Hell Week over his military career. Enduring the infamous Hell Week 3 times. He served as a Navy SEAL, an Army Ranger, and an Air Force Tactical Air Controller, establishing himself as one of the most resilient, mentally tough warriors in the armed forces. After leaving the military, Goggins turned his focus into ultra-endurance events, completing some of the toughest races in the world, including the Badwater 135.
Wow. So it's 135 miles.
Where he finished 5th despite severe injuries. His relentless drive and refusal to quit have earned him a cult following, and his best-selling books, Can't Hurt Me and Never Finished, like I mentioned before, detail his journey and the mindset he developed to overcome life's hardest challenges. Today, Goggins is a highly sought-after motivational speaker who inspires millions to confront their inner demons, push past their perceived limits, and stay hard.
There we go.
So
I said like, get tough.
Yeah, I know.
Stay tough.
You know,
Tough and rough.
that's what I thought when I first heard of him. I was like, why that catchphrase? And then the more I looked at his following, I think people just kind of got over the
Oh yeah, they just don't
weirdness of it.
There's no euphemism to them. Yeah.
They wear shirts, they wear hats.
Yeah. It might be part of the draw too.
It could be part of the draw. Yeah.
It's all in context.
Yes. So a couple facts about David Goggins
Yes,
that I
tell me
found
more.
quite impressive. Like I said, he lost over 100 pounds in 3 months.
Crazy.
Dropped from 300 pounds to 190 and qualified for Navy SEAL training within 3 months. That's insane.
Well, he must have been like eating just 1,000 calories a day or something.
Hardly anything. Yeah. And he would go to the gym and do hundreds of reps on one machine. Like, and he doesn't have any of the fat skin, you know, the skin that would hang off. He doesn't have that. And he claims,
No, he's extremely toned.
yeah, he claims it's because he did high reps. That can't scientifically be proven,
Right.
but that's what he claims.
But maybe in the process of losing a amount of weight, you're still gaining so much muscle. You're not
could
having that
be.
droopy skin on your arms.
Yeah, it
Maybe.
could be.
That's crazy.
He looks great
though.
to this day, though.
That's impressive.
So another fact, he completed the Badwater 135, like we said, with broken feet. Broken feet. In the middle of the race. Finished the next half of the race.
That's
70,
crazy.
80 miles.
And that
with broken
run,
feet.
it's not like, hey, we're on like a path. It's like mountains
Oh,
and
yeah.
terrain and rocks. Like
Yeah.
this isn't just like going down a paved path. Yeah. That must have been extremely painful.
Yeah, and he's done. I mean, it was ridiculous how many races he's done. It's all online too. Like there have been several people who have come out, military people and ultra race athletes who have come out and said that, hey, what you're doing isn't real. This isn't a real record. You never went through this training. And it's all online.
Wow,
Like you can
okay.
go and see where he qualified and how he got to the race. And then at the end of the race, he's there taking the picture. And in the middle of the race, he's there running the race. So it's all documented. It's all provable. He's just an
Crazy.
insane kind of person.
Wow.
Yeah. So he completed Navy SEAL training 3 times,
Okay.
specifically Hell Week, 3
Just for
times.
the heck of it. He did it again?
No,
Or he just hadn't finished it.
So they do something called rolling you back if you get injured during Hell Week. And so you'll have to complete Hell Week with the next class behind you that's coming up behind you.
So you could have made it almost all the way through. And then, but you failed.
You
out
get
at
rolled
the
back.
end.
And I think you can only get rolled back 3 times. So it was
Okay.
his last time before he wouldn't be able to become a Navy SEAL.
Wild.
And he did it. And the reason, it's actually interesting, in the book, he outlines the reason that he survived the 3rd Hell Week was because somebody died in his class and they cut the Hell Week short.
Okay. They're like, we're not doing the last day.
Yeah. But because of that, there's usually a week after Hell Week. It's called Walk Week. And you take it easy. You try to recover all from all the broken bones and bruises you have.
So wild.
And they take, and the officers or the people, I can't remember the names of the captains who are yelling at you or the guards or whatever, they actually leave you alone and they're really kind and they're like, hey, good job on finishing this. But since he finished his Hell Week early, there was no Walk Week. It was just Hell Week straight into more intense training. So he didn't catch a break there either. Something else impressive is that during Hell Week, he had broken shins. He had shin fractures. And what he would do was tape up his legs. I think I've told you this before.
No, but I just but I was just thinking of people in track growing up. They would have shin splints, which isn't. Then you just would tape your legs.
Tape your
together,
legs.
But
that's it.
That's horrifying with fractured shins.
Mm-hmm. And so he would tape his legs early in the morning so that the sergeants didn't see him doing it. And then he would go for the run. He said for about the first 20 minutes, it was almost unbearable pain. And then after 20 minutes, your legs go numb.
Right.
And you just finish the workout.
That's insane.
So crazy. He set the world record for pull-ups. He completed 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours.
Wow.
On his third attempt. He failed twice.
4,000. Over 4,000.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. His first ultra was 100 miles within 24 hours.
Okay.
And get this, he had never run a marathon before that.
Okay.
He just went straight for the 100 miles. In fact, he had a marathon coming up after the 100 miles that he also ran.
He managed to do it?
He managed to do it.
That's crazy.
He had never run 100 miles before. He said that before he ran the 100 miles, his cardio was 10 minutes on the elliptical or 30 minutes on the elliptical some days.
Because he mainly just did weights.
Just lifted weights. He'd just gotten out of the military. He was huge.
Uh-huh.
And he's running around this single 1 mile track with ultra athletes who are tiny little stick bone creatures.
He's all this like muscle on him.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's just a wild story. I highly recommend reading the book.
I remember you mentioning that like once he finished it, like his feet were all obviously blistered up, but he was like peeing blood because his kidneys were like shutting
failing.
down.
Yeah. Kidneys were failing. It was insane. He crapped himself. Like it was awful what he did, but
wow.
Really it showed, I think in the book he outlines that this helped him discover the power of the mind.
Yeah.
What you can actually do if you just tell your body you can do it.
Crazy. Was that at all inspiration to you when we were running our marathon and your legs cramped up?
For sure.
Were you like David Goggins did this with broken feet and shins and peeing blood and pooping himself? Or were you like, what was your motivation in that?
My motivation in that actually was slightly different.
Okay.
I think that we all have a cookie jar. He describes this in his book too. A cookie jar is something where you put your successes into a jar in your mind. And whenever you're going through something tough, you reach into that jar and you pull out something and you look at it. And you're like, I actually did, 20 miles before. Mm-hmm. I can run 26 miles. Like that's your cookie jar. That's the place where you go and you're like, that's your proof that you can do tough things. And so for me, it was less looking at David Goggins and more being like, I've done already over half of this mileage before. I reached in that cookie jar and I was like, this is proof that I know I can do more than I'm capable of.
Okay.
So that's kind of what kept me going there.
Okay.
But
nice.
It's from David
kind
Goggins'
of some
inspiration.
of those his methods and stories. Okay, cool. Very nice. You're just chanting in your breath, Dave Goggins, Dave. Or more so me while you're like bent over cramping on the side of the road.
Absolutely.
David
Goggins.
And like that was like the best run of my life. I was just on another level of feeling amazing.
Absolutely. So. That's crazy to me. You were my Goggins in that moment. I was like, I gotta keep up.
You'll be the one promoting me keeping up next time.
Yeah.
For sure.
We'll help each other for sure. I won't work a 12-hour shift at a wedding the night before next
sleep
time.
2 hours. Yeah. There we go.
So he ran that 100 miles with no training. He completed over 60 ultra endurance events. And like I said, he places top 5, sometimes even wins the races these days.
Insane.
It's crazy what this guy's capable of. So I highly recommend reading his book, Can't Hurt Me. It's a huge part of why I'm so driven to be excellent today. Goggins inspired me to be a better person and to never give in to the excuses we all use that keep us from becoming who we truly want to be.
Yeah.
Now, huge word of caution before you read this book. David's story is amazing. Mm-hmm. We can all agree. But the military training and magnificent feats that he accomplished came at a huge cost to his body.
Yes.
Surgery after surgery after surgery. Today, he is still a specimen and he's super active. Mm-hmm. But I don't know a single person who has read David Goggins' material and didn't hurt themselves by exercising harder than they should have,
Yeah.
myself included.
It's true.
Absolutely. So while the concepts of the book are sound, we need to focus on not doing the irresponsible things David did in his book that are so impressive,
Right.
that show you can push through.
But to have a long, healthy life.
You want to follow the concepts, not the example. He, to this day, is, he gets questions all the time like, I tried to run 100 miles, but I really hurt myself. And he's like, that's not what it's about. It's about breaking barriers in your mind. It's not about destroying your body.
Yes.
So maybe go 10, 20% more than you think you should instead of 120% more than you think you should.
Maybe don't jump from a 30-minute run to 100 miles.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I remember him saying that like he never stretched before.
No.
And his whole body just kind of tightened up on itself.
Yeah.
And now he stretches like 2 to 3 hours a day. Yeah. So
that's the cost.
You got time for that. Yeah.
That's the cost for sure. So he was instrumental in my growth as a man, and he's really the reason for me wanting to become an ultra runner. He always, he even says now that he hates running, but he does it because it strips away the facade and reveals like who a person really is when they're under that much distress. Back in 2020, that hit me hard because I didn't know who I was. I was stuck in a job I hated. I was miserable. I was, I was in a bad place. It's just funny because that's when I met you or we reconnected. And Goggins taught me that the only limits in life are the ones I put on myself. And that lesson stuck. So now I constantly push my limits because I know that when I'm at the edge of my strength, when I feel like I've got nothing left, that's when I truly discover who I actually am. And how I act in those moments shows me the real Caleb.
Nice.
And if I can be kind and love myself and show love to others while I'm in that pain, then I know 100% of the time I'm growing into the person who I want to be.
Love that.
So that's my topic.
Great. Your question should have been like, should I be like David Goggins?
Yeah.
And you could have been like, no, but yes. And also for our listeners, if you get motivated by somebody yelling and cussing you out, just like open up one of his Instagram reels and he'll be on like, I'm running 10 miles and if I can do it, you can too. And he's just got that military vibe. So if you need some strong motivation, he's your man.
Yeah. He's amazing.
Cool. Love
you, Goggins.
David.
Goggins, David.
You just get a playlist for our next ultra marathon.
That's all it is.
Just for all 30 miles. Love it. Wonderful. Cool.
Next, we like to do a pop culture question or discussion. So, Christina, do you have anything for me this week?
I do. And so it's on a topic a little bit similar to last week where I was talking about movies, and it is kind of my prompt or question is superhero fatigue. Like, are Marvel movies done?
Yeah. Okay.
So I want to just share some thoughts and then ask you some questions. So why are Marvel movies not doing as well in the box office as they used to? Do you think this says something about like our shift in cultural tastes? Or is it due to overstimulation? Like there's just a whole lot of Marvel movies specifically. Is it because of politically correct pushes or subliminal messaging in the movies? Or is it because of the multiverse? Like that you kind of have to watch every movie if you're going to catch everything. So why do you think that Marvel movies aren't doing as well as they used to?
Man, that's a big question. Off the top of the dome, I would say oversaturation, number one. Secondly, PC narratives, number two.
Okay.
Those are the biggest turnoffs for me at this point. I like superhero films. I like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man more than all the other Spider-Man. But again, that was before there were a ton of superhero movies. And that was before special effects really took the stage. And that could be possibly my third reason I think that they aren't hitting as hard is that special effects although they're amazing these days, and you get movies kind of like Avatar was, just this groundbreaking special effects feast for our eyes.
Was.
But human eyes, this is a really interesting fact.
Yeah.
Human eyes read reality at about 24 to 30 frames per second. That's not the frame rate CGI is made at typically.
Okay.
And so human eyes can determine something fake
Wow.
when they're watching a movie, as opposed to back in the day when it was all choreographed wire work and stunt doubles. Now we have this CGI that's amazing,
Right.
but it doesn't trick our brains. We still
Interesting.
subconsciously think that's not real.
Right.
The stakes aren't there. Back in the day, Jackie Chan, when he threw himself off a building, he threw himself off a building.
Yes.
That was real. And I think that raises the stakes in our minds because we know that's a real person.
Yeah.
So I think there's three things. I think it's oversaturation, PC narrative, and the fact that CGI, although impressive, does not fool our brains into thinking that there's something at stake.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very fascinating. The whole like frame rate that our minds kind of are able to process, and CGI doesn't move at that frame rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that the overuse of CGI is part of it, although it's fun to watch these fantastical fight scenes. Like you mentioned, like Jackie Chan actually threw himself off a building, or like in the original Superman movies, like he was on like a wire flying through the sky, and we obviously know it's fake, but now we'll have a whole movie scene where literally the entire thing is fake, even the buildings.
Yeah.
Like they literally filmed it on a green screen and it's just their faces. Or in the case of somebody like Iron Man or a superhero that has a mask on, like it's literally 100%.
It's all CGI.
CGI.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point. And then the oversaturation point as well. Yeah, I was wondering because I know that some Marvel movies haven't done as well as of late. Is it just kind of a myth that the decline is happening? And the decline is real. So the numbers don't lie. A Marvel average gross per film in the last 5 years was down 30% from its peak. So the peak time that Marvel movies were making a lot of money was 2008 to 2019. And now in the last 5 years, they're down like 30%.
That's so much.
Yeah. So reasons why some people or fans or critics are saying that movies aren't doing as well is like for specific the Marvels, which I haven't seen. It came out in 2023. It marked Marvel's lowest opening weekend ever.
Really?
Like even below like the original Iron Man or movies that were made 15 years ago that people knew about.
Yeah.
So it opened at $47 million domestic. Whereas like movies like Avengers Infinity War, those were opening at like a couple $100 million for an opening weekend. So with the Marvels, fans complained that there were too many characters in the movie itself. And there were so many different multiverse arcs where, okay, there's multiple of the same people, but what world are they in? And then critics argued the genre was becoming too predictable. Like the heroes win, the stakes reset, and then the journey starts over again.
Yeah.
So do you resonate with any of that? Do you think there are too many characters? Does the multiverse throwing it off? Or is it just like, we know Iron Man's going to win. We know Captain America's going to win.
I think that they went with too niche a group of characters. The Marvels is not even... I'm a nerd about this kind of stuff.
Tell me.
I've read the comic books. I like this stuff. You tell me about it. But I didn't even know who the Marvels were. And so I was uninterested to start with.
Okay.
So I think they niched down too much and tried to play to an audience that wasn't broad enough to actually pay them what the movie was worth.
Okay.
So I think that's issue number one. Issue number two, like you said, it's oversaturation. We know the story. It's 100% going to happen like we know it's going to happen. And you've already pitched us a movie that we don't want to see.
Right.
So I think they had those two things going against them.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Another pushback was saying that the flops or different Marvel movies that have failed are just due to like poor execution, not because we're burnt out on the genre. And they gave examples such as like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which came out in 2023, the third of the new Spider-Man iteration with Tom Holland. It made almost 700 million.
No, that's not the one with Tom Holland. It's Spider-Man Homecoming or Far From Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said Across the Spider-Verse. That's the animated one.
The animated one.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
You're good.
Right. Yeah, so Spider-Man Across the...
I told you I'm a nerd about it.
Love it. No, I appreciate.
Okay.
Yeah, because those all have home in it.
Yeah.
It's weird because we have two Spider-Man
I know, they're still happening.
things going at the same time.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which came out in 2023, which is animated, it made almost $700 million and even nabbed like Oscar nominations. And also Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which came out the same year, made almost $850 million. So this shows that like standout stories still draw in crowds, but what do you think made them so different from other movies that didn't do well during that time?
I think they were novel, like we keep saying. They're kind of not the first of their kind, but they're definitely at the beginning of the Marvel universe. The most recent Spider-Verse is popular because it's super new.
Okay.
The animation style is something that we've never seen before. I think that's why it did well, even though it's kind of coming in at the tail end of Marvel doing well. I think that's the reason for that doing well.
Yeah. And also maybe because it's animated, a lot more kids are going to watch it. You might not take your kid to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
But you would take your 5-year-old to see an animated Spider-Man.
That's a good point. I also think that starting a new kind of universe with Spider-Man in it takes all the pressure of having to know the Marvel narrative.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to see most Marvel movies now because they're all interconnected and it has a scene at the end of the movie that I don't understand. Whereas I used to get excited about those scenes. They introduce new characters and new arcs and villains, but now I just see another niche character coming my way at the end of a Marvel movie and I'm like, I don't have any interest in seeing that movie because I have no idea who this is.
Yeah.
So I think that could also play into why Iron Man was such a success because everybody knows Iron Man. Iron Man's Iron Man. But who knows Black Panther's nemesis's name? Right. You know, after he kills the main enemy, which he did in the first movie, I believe, they brought in a different guy, which is Michael B. Jordan. I can't remember his character's name. And nobody knew who this guy was until it got out into the public that the movie was coming out and then people kind of caught up. So I think it's that they're just running out of main characters is another reason.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think also the whole multiverse thing is a big connection because we even just the last couple weeks we're watching through all the Spider-Man movies and we just got to the Tom Holland ones. And the first one is Spider-Man Homecoming, something like that. And I had no idea what was going on for the first 10 minutes. I would have thought it was a sequel because it just started, I don't even know when it was supposed to be in the whole scheme of all the Marvel universe. But I'm like, who is Spider-Man? How did he become Spider-Man? Like they just skipped that whole part because it was a tiny part of another Marvel Avengers movie that had come out a couple years previously. Yeah. So I'm like, what's this broken down monster alien thing? And it was just confusing. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Another thought on why Marvel movies are flopping is just the overload of it all. So from 2021 to 2024, so this was a 4-year time period, Marvel made 18 movies and 10 different Disney Plus TV shows.
Holy crap.
So in a 4-year period, 18 movies and 10 TV shows.
By the way,
and not like 10 episodes, 10 different TV shows.
Well, by the way, nobody asked for those TV shows and they ruined a lot of Marvel fans. Well,
and now you even kind of have to watch the shows to inform the movies.
And there's characters from the shows in the movies and there's characters from the movies in the shows. It's overwhelming. Yeah.
So like I said, so that's 28 films and TV shows in 4 years. As opposed to the previous 11 years, which would have been 2019, I think 2008 to 2019, which I think the first Marvel movie would technically in the universe would be Iron Man, which came out in 2008.
There's
Is
a
that the
couple.
first one?
There's a couple Marvels before, but they're all really niche.
Okay,
so
yeah.
that you could say that.
Yeah, so in that 11-year time period, they made 23 movies. And then
Jeez,
fast
oh,
forward to a
man.
4-year time period, 28 movies and TV shows.
What?
Yeah.
Within the last 4 years?
Yes.
You're kidding
No,
me.
18 movies and 10 different TV shows in the last 4 years.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you were saying in the last like 15 years.
No, just the
That's
last 4.
crazy.
Yeah, whereas there was even less than that in a whole 11 years before that.
What the heck?
Yeah. Also, fans are complaining about what they consider to be homework fatigue, meaning like you need to watch WandaVision or Loki in order to understand the Marvels movie.
That's what it is.
Which might have been why the Marvels movie flopped.
Yep.
Not everybody has Disney Plus and is committed to watching a whole season of WandaVision to know who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Homework fatigue is a great name for it.
Yeah. Another thought is the multiverse, which was made to like refresh the sagas and be able to like, oh, Iron Man can live on through another person or Spider-Man can live on through another person. It's kind of muddled it because if anybody can return as a different variant of themselves, like why care and what are the stakes?
Mm-hmm.
If Spider-Man dies, he can come back in the next movie as the same Spider-Man, but from a different universe.
Yeah.
So it's like even the death of a superhero means almost nothing.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
It's insane. He's going to play a
of
different
somebody else.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of wild.
It's like, what the heck are we doing here, guys?
Yeah. So do you think that me staying like 28 movies and TV shows in 4 years kind of would make you feel like, okay, that might be why they're not doing as well?
Oh, for sure. I think the word or the phrase homework fatigue just summed it up nicely. We all have homework fatigue and we just need to take a break. Let's make good DC movies for once, because those have been few and far between and they've tried really hard, but they flopped. I would rather get more into the DC universe than I would in the Marvel universe right now. So I think they should put down the Marvel universe, pick up another genre or back DC and really go after those characters. Because there's some big characters in DC comics that have not been explored that really should get some airtime.
Right. Yeah. So, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just wild that in 15 years, there's been over 50 Marvel movies and TV shows. So you could watch a Marvel movie or TV show a week.
Yeah.
And like for a whole year.
Yeah.
And not even finish it all.
That's crazy.
That's wild. Some other thoughts are like competition or shifting tastes and culture. So like the Barbie movie made $1.4 billion and Oppenheimer made almost $1 billion. And those came out the same weekend.
Yeah.
So shows that audiences are maybe craving like original films and not just sequels or spinoffs. Also, since Disney Plus hosts every single Marvel movie, you can get on there and you could watch one a week for a year. It's cut the need or the feeling like you have to go watch it in the movie theater, because why pay $15 to go watch it at the movie theater when it's going to be on Disney Plus in 45 days is the typical turnaround. They get them to Disney Plus very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another option for them to really reinvent themselves is just tie up the universe and end it in a movie. Tie up the whole Marvel universe and
that
end
would be
it.
wild.
And then start it again, because we just need something new.
Yeah. I kind of like that. Yeah, and so the last point was that superhero fatigue obviously isn't universal. The Spider-Man movies, both the new animated series and the one with Tom Holland, have continued to do extremely well. And so maybe that plays to a different demographic, maybe a younger demographic. So it's not all Marvel movies, but just some of them. Yeah. So as we ended, I kind of wanted to talk about the 3 top grossing Marvel movies.
All right.
And the 3 worst ones. So the top grossing Marvel movie of all time. Do you know what it is?
Iron Man.
Nope.
Avengers Endgame Part 2.
Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
So that came out in 2019 and it made $2.8 billion.
Wow. This is a great movie.
Yeah. And then Avengers Infinity War, which came out the year previous, made $2 billion. And then Spider-Man No Way Home, that came out in 2021, also made nearly $2 billion.
Yeah.
So those are all 2019, 18, 2021. We're not, that far past that. As of late, the worst grossing ones were The Eternals It came out in 2021. It made just over $400 million. And some of the belief was it had a huge focus on LGBTQ representation that wasn't found in the original comic books, or just was, it just maybe went a little too focused on those storylines rather than just being a superhero, which is what people wanted. They don't really want like to be influenced about, cultural topics. You just want to watch some buildings blow up. I want to watch
fantasy, not reality.
Exactly. Black Widow came out the same year, 2021. It made $380 million.
Oh, awful movie.
And then the Marvels in 2023 also made $380.
I have to apologize. I was talking about the Eternals, not the Marvels, but same principles apply. Wow.
Yeah. So, but the Marvels and the Eternals have a huge cast of a lot of people you got to watch the TV shows for.
Makes total sense.
So it's crazy. Movies that came out the same year, like Spider-Man, made $2 billion, and then Black Widow made under $400 million.
Well, it's just such a terrible movie. Yeah. You can look up on YouTube. There's a really funny video about the CGI fails within that movie. They were supposed to make a small explosion on screen. And so what they did is they took like a nuclear CGI explosion and just, you know how you can like stretch an image or push it down to make it smaller. They just cropped it down to look smaller and then put it within like a trash can and then had that be the explosion.
So they just compress like a nuclear
explosion into a trash can just because they're running out of time. There's some great fails on that movie.
Crazy. Yeah. So those movies actually lost money because they cost more to make. Because a movie the production cost could be like with the new Snow White movie, the production costs were like $280 or $300 million. But then that doesn't count the marketing costs, which are usually about the same.
They're high, super high.
Snow White, in order to break even, needs to make $500 million. And so far it's brought in like 60.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about that.
Yeah.
Really love that. Love that for us.
Love that. We need more real dwarf representation of little people in movies.
We need dwarfs in movies again.
We don't need
That's what
CGI.
We need.
Peter Dinklage,
Please,
whatever.
save Snow White.
No, he was the one who got the dwarves kicked out of the movie.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, he's like, that's offensive to have little people play the part of little people.
No way.
That we should only cast little people in roles that are meant for
big people.
Big people.
Well, he should have played Snow White. It would have been a better movie.
Probably would have. Awesome. So yeah, any last thoughts on why Marvel's not doing as hot?
No, I think I've dove into it enough.
Love it.
Great questions,
Thank
babe.
you. Well, do you have any myths related to your topic about David Goggins?
So not about Goggins, but myths related to ultra running. I thought I'd break a couple of those. So the first myth is you need to be running hundreds of miles per week and doing 40-mile runs on the weekends to be an ultra runner. But the truth about that is while longer runs are important, consistency and good training weeks with adequate recovery are more crucial than just racking up miles.
Yeah.
Training volume can vary greatly depending on the race distance and individual needs. So you don't need to run hundreds of miles during the week or even long runs on the weekend. You need to slowly build up and just be consistent in your training.
I like that.
Myth number 2, you have to run the entire distance. So you can't walk or hike during an ultra. The truth about that is walking is not only expected, but encouraged in an ultra, especially on hills and technical terrain. Walk the hills and run the downs and the flats. That's the common advice given to ultra runners.
I like that.
So there you go.
What if you have like we did on our marathon, just like a half a mile of straight uphill?
No,
we ran up that and then your legs gave up.
Yeah, my legs gave up.
So maybe that's the key.
So that might be the key. Let's not try to be tough out there, guys. Let's go for the distance, not for the sprint.
Love that.
Yeah. So myth busted. That's so cheesy, but I love it. All right, Christina, do you have any recommends for this week for our viewers?
All right. One thing I would like to recommend to our viewers is to try out a game of the elderly that is often played on cruise ships, and that is shuffleboard.
Yes.
There's a couple of shuffleboard lanes in places in Kansas City, and we went this morning and played shuffleboard at 9 a.m. like some little old folks, and it's it's a really fun, I don't know if I'd call it a sport, and kind of a little bit of a sport. But usually it's rather cost effective. For us, we rented a lane for $10 for an hour. And I don't know, I think fun to do something a little bit different, a little bit out of your element.
Yeah.
And try something new. So go try some shuffleboard. It's a nice hot date night.
Yeah.
Or a 9 a.m. on a Saturday date night.
Great recommend.
Thank you.
Love it.
What about you? You got any recommends for us?
Drink your electrolytes every day.
That's good.
Super important. I didn't drink my electrolytes a couple months ago. I think it was for maybe 2 or 3 weeks in a row. And I almost passed out at work. It's just my electrolytes were completely depleted. Mm-hmm. And it's super important for like for adrenal fatigue. So if you didn't get enough sleep and you continue to push your body harder than it needs to be pushed, you really need to put some salt in that water to get your electrolytes. Yeah. So everybody be safe out there. Get your electrolytes.
Yeah.
Really
and you
enjoy
can
that water.
Make it really easy. You can mix equal parts vitamin C powder, iodized salt, and potassium. So you can get that from cream of tartar, just equal parts. And you do like a heaping teaspoon in your glass every day. And the salt and those electrolytes actually help your body retain water and use it instead of it just passing through. So it helps you hydrate. Mm-hmm.
Take it. You can also take it with creatine, which creatine helps you retain water.
Oh, interesting.
To recover better.
That's why you're looking so plump lately. In a good way. Muscle plump.
You can contact us with questions or topics you'd like us to discuss at
stuffwelikePodcast.com.
So close.
Stuff we like podcast.
Stuff that we like podcast.
Yeah, did I say that stuff?
No.
Stuff we like.
Stuff that we like.
Stuff that like we.
Whoa.
Stuff that we like podcast at gmail.com.
All right, I forgive you for the weight thing now. That was funny. I'm just
wasn't
kidding.
weight.
I'm just kidding. I know. I'm just kidding around, baby. I'm a plump boy.
You got plump earlobes.
Plump earlobes?
You ever seen that where people get plump lobes?
No. You get plump lobes?
I don't. But there's
people can get plump lobes?
Yeah.
Is that what the technical term is? Plump lobe?
Plump lobes. Earlobes.
That's fun to say.
Yeah. Plumpy earlobes.
Plumpy lobes. Okay, well, follow this podcast and give it a like on Apple and Spotify. It really does help people find us and grow our reach. Follow Christina on Instagram at
See Joyfully.
Christina also has a show segment which we started doing called
Stuff You Missed.
Okay, and you can follow me on Instagram at Caleb C Media. Before we get to me, though, you should follow this podcast on Instagram at
Stuff We Like.
Stuff That We Like.
Stuff That We Like podcast.
Yeah. And then you can follow me at Caleb C Media. I also do freelance videography and photography. So email me at Caleb M. Castaneda if you have any needs in those areas. I write music. So I'd love to score your movie or short film. You can find stuff I've written.
Just thinking of plump lobes. I'm sorry.
You're thinking plump lobes again?
Yeah, I was going to be a great name for a song. Orchestral piece.
Plump lobe is something you could swing from. You know what I'm talking about? It's like you hang it from a tree.
Hang
like the kids are playing on the plump lobes.
Plump lobes.
Lastly, we have a video podcast company that helps showcase churches in Kansas City in the U.S. So if you'd like to get your pastor on our podcast or need video done for your Christian or nonprofit ministry, contact us at
Mood Wave Media.
Moodwave Media.
Moodwave Media at gmail.com.
That's it, folks. Thanks for joining us.
All right, this has been Stuff That We Like / Enjoy.
See ya.
Bye.